Basic precautions and lifting techniques are easy to learn and apply, and they'll greatly reduce the chance of serious back injury. Here are a few lifting rules you should always remember, even when lifting light loads. Place your feet apart for good balance. Bend your knees and hold the object as close to your body as possible. Lift smoothly, don't jerk. Pivot your feet, don't twist your back. Push loads if you have to roll them, rather than pull. Many of the objects you may have to lift and move can be heavy and awkward, so let's look at some procedures for more specific tasks. To pick up and carry a sheet of plywood, a pair of gloves is a good idea. You're going to want to stand the plywood on its narrow edge in a vertical position. If the plywood is lying flat on the ground, go to one end and pick up the narrow edge. Then lift and walk towards the plywood until it's standing vertically. This method requires you to lift only half the weight of the plywood from the ground. Place your hands at the midpoints of the long edges of the plywood. Then roll the sheet onto your right or left hand. The sheet should be balanced in the carrying hand. This avoids straining your back when you're trying to keep the sheet from dropping at one end. If your grip feels uncomfortable, put the sheet down on its narrow edge and take a new grip. If you lean the sheet of plywood onto your shoulder, some of the weight will be transferred from your hand. Always ask for help if you need it. For example, if there are obstacles to negotiate around, get someone to help you carry the sheet. If it's windy, you may have difficulty carrying large sheets, so again, ask for help. Planks, steel pipe, and rebar can all be carried in a similar manner. If the pieces are not too heavy, they can be carried by one person on your hip or shoulder. If the pipe or beam is too heavy for you to carry, get help or use mechanical assistance such as a hoist or forklift. The pipe or beam should be up off the floor on blocking so that you can easily get your hands under it. Bend down, keeping your back straight and keeping your feet slightly apart, pointed in the direction that you want to move. Place one hand on each side of the plank near the middle. One hand slightly forward and the other slightly behind. Lift slightly to check the weight and the balance. Then relocate your hands until you have the proper balance. Stand up slowly, keeping your back straight and using your leg muscles. Hold the pipe or beam close to your body and let your hip carry some of the weight. If you want to carry a pipe or beam on your shoulder, pick it up from one end, then walk and lift it toward the other end until it's on your shoulder. With the pipe on your shoulder, adjust the balance so that slightly more of the weight is behind than in front. This way, you can pull the pipe or beam down in front of you to keep your balance. Before you move a pipe or beam, make sure that the way is clear and there is space to place it. Both pipe and beams should be put down on blocking if they're not put directly into place in the building structure. Do not twist your back when moving and use your feet to change direction of travel. If there's more than one pipe to carry at a time, bundle and tie them together at each end and in the middle. Otherwise, you can easily lose control of them, as they will want to go in different directions. Extension ladders come in various lengths, and the longer the ladder, the heavier it is. Long ladders should be handled by two people. A ladder is usually carried on the shoulder, with one arm passed between the rails and the other hand used to balance it. The ladder should be picked up in the same manner as beams or pipes. Do not drop a ladder or let it hit anything. You could crack the side rails and make the ladder unsafe for anyone to use. One worker can carry a very heavy load in a wheelbarrow. Before using a wheelbarrow, check to ensure that the wheelbarrow tire is properly inflated and centered on its axle. When you use a wheelbarrow, always maintain your balance. Keep the bulk of the weight in the wheelbarrow toward its front for greater control, and make sure it's not overfilled. Bend your knees, keeping your back straight, your chin in, and your feet slightly apart. Lift in a smooth motion and push the barrow in the direction you want to go. When you turn a corner, tilt the barrow slightly in the direction of turn, just as you would tilt a bicycle. Not too sharply, or you may tip the load. When you're going downhill, you'll need to hold back the barrow to prevent losing control. When you take the wheelbarrow up a ramp and you need help, only one person should be pushing. Helpers should pull. If two people try and push the wheelbarrow, balance will be lost and the contents could spill. Wheelbarrows have an extension of the handrails past the front wheel. This allows the barrow to be tipped and the contents dumped. Be sure to protect any surfaces that may break or chip from coming in contact with the handrail extensions when dumping. Shoveling may seem like a simple task that couldn't harm you, but if you shovel materials incorrectly, you can seriously injure yourself. The best shoveling method depends on the material to be moved. Drain rock or gravel should be picked up from the bottom edge of the pile rather than from the middle or top. Sand can be picked up from any part of the pile. There are basic rules for using a shovel comfortably and safely. Keep your back as straight as possible, bend at the hips, and keep your feet slightly apart with one ahead of the other. Place yourself in a comfortable position and have a clear area to work in. You will find that a long-handled shovel is easiest to work with. Not only will it provide more leverage, but it will not require you to bend very far. If you're right-handed, your left hand should grip the shovel just above the metal ferrule, and the right hand should be near the top of the shovel handle. Slide or push the shovel into the material. Drop the end of the shovel slightly to catch the material, then draw the shovel toward you, allowing it to slide on the ground. When the shovel is near you, you can then lift with your lower hand and steady with your upper hand to move the material by tossing it off to the side or behind you. You can also use your knee for leverage to help lift up a shovel. The motion of using the shovel should feel comfortable without any strain. If the load on the shovel is too heavy, take smaller loads. Learn to pace yourself. If you start too vigorously, you'll quickly tire and be unable to maintain a steady work pace. Many items come in heavy boxes or sacks. To pick up boxes from the floor or ground safely, bend your legs, keeping your back straight and your feet apart, one foot slightly ahead of the other. Move close to the box. Place your left hand on the top left corner away from you. Place your right hand on the lower right corner next to you. Tilt the box away from you, keeping the weight of the box on the floor. Then, lift the box to judge its weight. Using the palm grip, grasp the bottom edges of the box and use your leg muscles to stand up. When carrying a heavy object, don't twist your back to change direction. Turn your feet in the direction you want to move. The instructions for lowering the box are the reverse of lifting. If the box is too heavy, get someone to help you. If it's too heavy for 2 people to lift, use a mechanical lift such as a forklift.